Good day, Vampire Nation, fantasy football players, managers. It is time. It is time for week one. We are finally here. We have content to talk about with games that are now done. We have seen the Thursday night game, and now that drafts are done, we can be done speculating with what we could be seeing. And we put our strategies that we've drafted with into place, how we manage our teams week by week. And I know if you started any Rams players for Thursday night that was not named Cooper Kupp, yeah, you're probably a little disappointed in this day, as they didn't do so hot. But as the season goes on, we're gonna have more data to compile. That way, we're gonna have more information. We're gonna make better decisions. We'll know what to do. Do we hold Allen Robinson, even though he only got 2 targets? I don't know why. I'm not a Rams coaching staff, so we're gonna be able to figure these things out. But I'm going to do a week one breakdown of games. I'm going to start with games that have the highest over-under totals for the week. We want to start with what's exciting, not what's boring. We'll end with what's boring. I'm not going to talk about every player in the podcast here. I am not the podcast to go talk about every player. You don't need me to say, go start Patrick Mahomes. You don't need me to tell you, go start Justin Jefferson. You already know that, okay? We're going to do a breakdown and a strategy breakdown of thinking about what players can we see? Where's our value at? What kind of sleepers are we looking at? This is what will separate the good teams as fantasy football season goes on. What strategy wins on the margins? How are we looking at things that separate us from our competitors? As the season goes on, we'll have more data points. So we'll have better understanding and clarity of what we see. But we're going to start with what we know. Okay, so for the breakdowns, I'm going to be starting, like I said, with the highest scoring games. And, of course, what's the highest scoring game this week is Kansas City at Arizona. This game has a 53.5 game total. It is the highest on the slate for week one. Get excited about that. Kansas City is a 4.5 point favorite in this game. Vegas says this game's going to be a shootout. Very high scoring from both sides. Now, I'm not going to speculate what game flow could be, but if Kansas City gets out to an early lead, the pass catching opportunities for each team is very high. So, players I like a little bit more than how they're ranked this week. I love Juju Smith-Schuster. Currently, he is ranked number 30th of wide receivers overall for this week. If this game shoots out, I think that's a little bit too low. I think the potential number one wide receiver, and I understand Patrick Mahomes came out this week and said, hey, we're not going to know, fantasy gamers. We don't have Tyreek. It's not going to be Tyreek Kelsey every week. You're not going to know who's going to be it. But I think this has a potential of being – Juju is a potential of the number one target for Patrick Mahomes outside of Travis Kelsey. He'll be the lead wide receiver. I'm going to speculate that. Now, that is speculation. I could be wrong. But I'll take the chance that I'm wrong. Also, on the flip side, for the Cardinals, Marquise Brown has a high upside if this game shoots out. There's no Rondale Moore. Zach Ertz is hurt. Who is there? Well, Marquise Brown is connecting with Kyler Murray, who has one of the best deep ball percentages, and Marquise Brown actually does really well with that. So I think Marquise Brown, as a 17th rank, is a little underrated this week. So if you have those two, I would start them. Players that I really don't like as much for this game as consensus do, I really don't like James Conner as much. I get it. He's the lead back. He's going to get touches. If you drafted him, you're probably starting him, and that's fine. You drafted him to play him. You should. But if this is a shootout, Kansas City gets out to a big lead, and I'm not going to speculate that this is the only option that's going to happen, but it's one of probably a few that could happen. But Kansas City gets out to a big lead. Arizona's going to have to pass more. That leaves less opportunity for running, less opportunity for Connor. Okay? Now, it could be what happens. I would just temper expectations for Connor. I think he's ranked in the low teens. I mean, that's probably pretty value, but I would even say he might be an RB2 this week. So just temper your expectations on him. In this game, there are a few sleepers that I do like. One is MVS with Kansas City. The other for Arizona, I love the sleeper of Eno Benjamin. MVS is a player I would consider if you have him, you want a flex play, you want a high upside flex play, I would give that. Okay. He could give you that one catch for 30 yards and just that's all he does. So he has that downside. Let's be realistic for this. But he also provides, a weak secondary for Arizona. MVS provides an upside that's unreal. He could give you 290 and a touchdown very easily. Also, I love Eno Benjamin. He is in line for potential as the Chase Edmonds role that Edmonds had last year. Okay. I'm not saying you should start Eno Benjamin this week, but if he's on your waiver wire, you should be looking at that. He is the number 2. He's also potentially the pass catcher. And last year when Chase Edmonds was there, Connor did not get the bulk of the work. He had the goal line work for sure, and that showed in his touchdown performance. But Eno Benjamin could have RB2 value or flex side value. I would go out, stash Eno Benjamin if you can. After this game, you may not be able to then. All right, that's enough about that game. That's a fun, exciting game. But next up, we have another exciting game. It is Raiders-Chargers. Now, this game has a 52.5 over-under per Vegas, and the Chargers are a 3.5-point home favorite. Meaning, if this game was on a neutral script, they'd be a half-point favorite. So Vegas is saying these teams are pretty close. Now, these two teams are starting out with divisional game. Here's the thing that's consistent with divisional games. Nothing's going to go as the way it should. Divisional games never go the way we think they're going to go. Okay? LA should be on a tear to prove that they are the team that we expect them to be on paper that they are. They want to show that they are going to be that team this year. And they go against a divisional foe, so we'll see. Okay? I don't like Darren Waller as much this week. This particularly is, it's due to this hamstring injury that he's had. It's healing, and he may be off the injury report, but the addition of Devontae Adams, the healing of hamstring, I don't like his top 5 ranking for this week at tight end. Yes, if you drafted him, you're starting him, but be prepared. He's going to finish outside the top 5. So sleepers for this game. I love Gerald Everett for the Chargers. For the Raiders, I also love Zamir White. Chargers are going to be a pass-heavy team. This game also could shoot out just like the Kansas City, Arizona. Everett's a great candidate to be a safety valve for Justin Herbert. Okay, and he's also a potential red zone threat for just a big-bodied, able tight end to just go up and get passes. I love his upside. Okay, and I just like what he could potentially value. If he's out there on your waiver wire, go grab him. Okay, if you sloughed at the tight end position, if you decided, hey, I'm going to wait till the very end of my draft and this guy's still out there, he could potentially be better than who you grab. So go out and make sure you know who's out there. If he's out there, I would say potentially go grab him if you can. Now, for the Raiders, I said Zamir White. We don't know what Josh McDaniels, how he's going to utilize his backfield. I already know he does not like Josh Jacobs as much as the previous coaching staff. Okay? I like the upside and pass catching work that White brings. If you're able to go stash him on your bench, depending on how deep your league is, this is the time to go do it. Now, the Raiders might use a running back by committee. We're going to see in the next couple weeks how this backfield is going to shake out. Just as we started seeing with the LA Rams, how that backfield is starting to shake out. For those that drafted Cam Akers, last night was not a great night if you started him. Because, yeah, he really didn't do a whole lot or anything for you. But we could be looking at a potential situation where Josh Jacobs is not the guy because this is not the coaching staff that drafted him. Okay? Now, I would say don't go starting him right now. But if Zamir White starts to take off and he starts to go as that upside play that we think he can be, okay, you want to be out ahead of him, ahead of your league mates to go grab him. This is one of those upside plays for the season you want to go get. Okay, I would take a Zamir White over even a Tyler Allgeier for Atlanta. Why? Because this is a dynamic offense. He has a dynamic skill set as a pass catching running back. And they play in the AFC West. Okay, this is going to be through and through one of the most craziest leagues, divisions that we've seen in a very long time in football. There's going to be points to be scored. And I would take the guy that's even at a running back committee on a better team and has a little bit better skill set. He's a good upside play. Next, we have the Sunday night game. Actually, is the third highest game on the slate. It is the Buccaneers at the Cowboys. Bucks are a 1.5 favorite on the road here. Vegas also thinks this game could be pretty high scoring. Now, we could see Dallas come out and try to tempo this game, slow it down. If that's the case, Zeke's got a chance at a potentially good game. I'm not taking stats from defense last year as, well, this team was a really good run-stopping defense from last year. Well, this isn't last year, or this is this year. So let's just keep that in mind, okay? We also know Dallas likes to keep Zeke involved. Okay, Jerry Jones has all come out and said what he likes to do for keeping Zeke involved in Dallas. He's already come out and said that. Tony Pollard has an uphill battle because Jerry Jones loves Zeke. Jerry Jones paid Zeke. Okay, if Dallas really tries to go out and tempo the game tempo, that they like to keep it slow, they want to keep it in front of them, they want to keep Tom Brady off the field, Zeke's going to get some work. Okay, I don't have as many players in this game that I don't like as much as how they're ranked. However, I know I'm not going to do any injury-related takes, but if you're going to start Godwin being the Sunday night game, do that at your own risk, okay? He is still battling the ACL. He may not even play, so this may not even be an option for you. But if he does play, be prepared that he might be a decoy this week. He might be a decoy for the next few weeks. Just be ready for that. Remember, you drafted him for his ability. He got hurt late in December last year. He is not fully ready. I don't care what they say. He is not fully ready. I don't think he's going to do a whole lot. Just buyer beware on that. If there's a sleeper for this, I'm going to go with Rachaad White for Tampa Bay. Fournette may not be able to have a full workload this year. The rookie Rachaad White's going to be the guy that replaces Fournette, or also has upside value just as a RB2 with Tampa Bay. All right, next game we have Eagles and Lions. This is the third highest game on the slate this week. That's crazy because the Eagles barely made the playoffs last year, and the Lions, well, they're awful. Vegas is telling us that they think these two teams are going to be good. Okay, I've already said it. The Eagles are going to be one of the best teams in the NFC this year, and I think the Lions are one of the most underrated teams heading into this season. Vegas has this pegged correctly as one of the high-value plays for this week. Okay, players that I really like more than consensus, it's going to be a lot of Detroit here because we still have a lot of Philly players in our rankings that are valued well. A.J. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. What we don't know is the Philly backfield, and that's a mess. So we're not even going to touch that, okay? But if this game is really going to shoot out, the Detroit wide receivers are vastly underrated in this game. The Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is ranked at 31 for consensus this week. Seriously? 31 in a potential shootout game? That is way too low. This is not the same Detroit team last year where it's just a Swift and Hawkinson show that Amon-Ra St. Brown comes and gets his 8 targets, does whatever. No, 31's too low. I also don't like the ranking of Hawkinson right now. Historically, I will admit I love TJ Hawkinson, but his ranking as tight end 6 this week, I think that's too high. Okay. I think he comes down with the wide receivers that have been brought in for the Lions and that are healthy for them. The sleeper for this game, guess what? It's a Detroit wide receiver, DJ Chark. Yes, hopefully you were able to grab this guy in your draft late in the draft, the double-digit rounds. I highly doubt he's out on the waiver wire. If he is, I would stash him. Chark brings upside to this passing game and should be somebody gets targeted pretty early. If he gets off to a good start, your league mates are going to go get him. Go get him before they do. Get him before he does something. He already has over 1,000-yard receiving season with, who's the quarterback that year? Oh, yeah, it was Blake Bortles. Jared Goff is no worse than Blake Bortles. Trust me on that one. Okay? He can do better, and he will do better. I have DJ Chark in some leagues. You should go out and get him if you can. Next is Packers-Vikings. Yet another divisional game where anything can happen. Packers are 1.5-point road favorites in this game with the game total at 48.5 points. On this game, I really don't have players where I'll say I like more or less with how they're ranked. I think there's a lot of changes in both these offenses that we're going to start seeing how these offenses are going to play out. Who's going to be the lead passer for Aaron Rodgers? Well, we've all thought it's Allen Lazard. He's hurt right now. He's going to be dealing with injuries. So how does that affect him? Is it Christian Watson? Is it the rookie? How does he make splashes? Will he do that? Is it Romeo Doubs? I personally am not in on Romeo Doubs as some are. I don't think he's going to be there. We could all say, hey, week one, it's Sammy Watkins. It's Sammy Watkins week one, and set it and forget it. We don't know. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Honestly, if you drafted him, they're healthy. If you want to play them, I would say these are at best flex plays for any wide receiver because we don't know. Now, the Green Bay backfield, though, we also don't know how this is going to turn out. Will Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon cannibalize each other with taking touches away from each other? Is Aaron Jones going to be this slot guy all of a sudden, taking it away from Randall Cobb? I don't think he takes it totally away. But, if we're looking at just the splits where Devontae Adams was out and Aaron Jones was in, Aaron Jones has a really good upside with pass catching. I think that gets spread around a little bit. I don't think that's being talked about often enough. But I think there's a split between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, But I don't know how this turns out. They could have good value. They also could cannibalize each other. We don't know. With Minnesota on this game, it's a new head coach. It's a new coaching staff. They came over from the Rams. They like to pass. Is it going to be that pass-first offense that we want to see, that we speculate we're going to see? We don't know. Okay? There's a lot of firepower between the running back and wide receivers, and Kirk Cousins is a very, very capable pass thrower where he could sustain this offense being a heavy pass volume offense. One sleeper, and I've touched on this guy before, KJ Osborne. Right now, he is third on the depth chart for the wide receivers in the Vikings offense. He is someone to remember. He could have standalone value as a third wide receiver in a high-flying offense if that is what happens. We don't know yet. We are going to get that information. And I certainly hope this doesn't happen, but if for some reason Adam Thielen misses times, KJ Osborne could leapfrog Adam Thielen. If Minnesota's going to take that step to be that pass-heavy offense, KJ Osborne is severely undervalued. Go grab him sooner. At a surprising fourth on the highest of what the game totals are, it's the Patriots and Dolphins. Yay, more divisional games. See previous comments for other divisional games. The Dolphins are a 3.5-point home favorite. The Patriots don't necessarily travel well to Miami. They always get beat in Miami. We all know this. The game total for this game is 46.5 points. There are a few interesting items we're going to start seeing with these two teams. New England, how does the play calling of Bill Belichick or Matt Patricia, whoever's calling the plays, what does that offense look like? There are many questions that we're going to find out with this first week. Is it going to be disastrous, as we all think it can be? Or are they going to surprise a lot of people and actually be decent? We don't know. We're going to find out. For Miami, how does the additions of Tyreek Hill, Chase Edmonds, and others affect Tua? Does Tua take a step forward and actually become a valuable quarterback? Or is he still limited in ways that he just can't surpass those limitations? I kind of lean on he's going to be a little limited. Tyreek has come out this offseason and praised Tua for his deep ball throwing ability, his accuracy, saying he's better than Mahomes. Well, if that's the case, Miami is going to be really good. If not, when the going gets tough, watch for the team to turn on themselves. Just more of a for your awareness. I would like to throw that out there. For a few players that I like better than consensus, there are two running backs. One is from New England, one's from Miami. For New England, I think Rhamondre Stevenson is very undervalued. He has already shown in the preseason that he is the guy in this offense. He is the guy in that running back room. He is the best running back on this team. If Belichick is calling plays or if Matt Patricia is calling plays, there's part of me that thinks that they're a bit old school enough to know, hey, I'm going to call running plays. We're going to, all this talk about high flying, very quick pass throwing off. Nope, we're going to run the ball, establish it. We're going to do this. We're going to go old school, smash mouth football. Stevenson could be that guy. He also is the guy that catches passes out of the backfield. He can be that James White guy and leapfrog Damian Harris. It has already happened, in my opinion. Stevenson is the guy you want in this backfield. He has double-digit touchdowns for the season on his outlook. He could have a boom season with touchdown. He could be this year's James Conner. For Miami, the guy I really like is Chase Edmonds. He is undervalued both in rankings and in DFS. So if you play DFS, I would say put Chase Edmonds out there on some lineups. He is probably the most undervalued running back this week. He has clear RB2 upside. Patriots are really good at taking away the best options. Chase Edmonds could have the opportunity to catch multiple just dump off right over there. Just he is the one open and get some yards after the catch. He has a lot of ability to create space after he catches those balls too. Look out for Chase Edmonds. And more divisional games we have. Next up, it's the Colts and Texans. This game has a 45.5 point projection. The Colts are a 7.5 road favorite. Now, do the Colts come out and pass more and with Matt Ryan at the helm, or is this team led by Jonathan Taylor still? Is it just we're going to run it down the Texans, we're going to take it to them? This game's going to be a good test. Jonathan Taylor did well against Houston last year. I think Houston's actually a little underrated this year. I think they're going to come out and make this game a little interesting. I do like the Colts to win. I do like the Texans to cover this game, though. If the Colts come out, start hot, and get a lead, I really don't like the rookie Dameon Pierce. I don't like the running back for Houston if that happens. If the Texans are down, that means more passing, less running. Typically anyway. But does Rex Burkhead get to be the one that's relegated to third down work? What's being reported this offseason is Burkhead's the hurry-up pass catching back. So I'm really not into Pierce as much this year. Everybody's saying Pierce to the moon now that Mac's gone. Rex Burkhead's still there. It's not just going to be the Pierce show, I don't think. On the Colts side, watch out for Paris Campbell. He is my sleeper. If he stays healthy and the Colts are throwing more this year with Matt Ryan, Campbell's going to be the number 2 in that offense, not the rookie. Also on the Texans side, Nico Collins. If this is a shootout, you want Nico Collins. He has a shot at producing on a high level. He could challenge Brandon Cooks for that number 1 spot, but currently he is still going to be slated as that number 2. He is under the radar, and if it's available in your league, you need to stash him right now. Oh, and another divisional game up next. It is Steelers at Bengals. This game is a 44.5 total for the game, and the Bengals are a 6.5 point favorite. Again, anything can happen in divisional games. It could be pandemonium. The Bengals are 6.5 favorite, like I said. Let's look at some injuries on this game because there are 2 that are kind of important. On Pittsburgh side, it's Deontay Johnson, and on the Bengals side, it's T. Higgins. Both are key pieces to their team. You're going to play them at your own risk. They may not be healthy. I think T. Higgins has a better chance of playing with his shoulder injury, but he still could be limited. Okay? Just remember that. It's going to hurt having guys that you drafted high starting out as limited to your season. This hurts. I get that. This game, everybody is saying the Bengals are going to win away, and that really could happen. I'm not going to count on that, though. When everybody says this is going to happen, yeah, I like to think the other way, actually. It is not 2021, like I said. I get it. Cincinnati owned Pittsburgh last year. They beat them in their 2 games with a combined score of 44 points, more than what Pittsburgh scored. Cincinnati owned Pittsburgh last year. This is 2022, not 2021. We're going to see if Mitch Trubisky is able to give us better results than what Big Ben did last year with his noodle arm. Or if he doesn't, will Pickett be the guy this year because Mitch Trubisky can't do it. He is not able to then. We're going to know. Do they dump it off like Big Ben did? Was that a Ben thing that he dumped off to his running backs, or is that a coaching thing? We're going to see. Najee's looking healthy now. He's not on the injury report. I know he had a Liz Frank strain, but if you look at what doctors are saying, and I'm not a doctor, I will not claim to be one. I'm looking at what doctors are actually saying according to his injury, his specific injury. They're saying not every Liz Frank injury is the same. This one's a minor one. It's not the same as what Travis Etienne did. Now, could it come back? Sure. And guess what? He could also rupture his Achilles. Things happen. I'm playing Najee. I'm playing my Steelers if I have them. As far as I would play Deontay Johnson if he's there, I would hold off. And if I don't have any other options, I wouldn't play Pickens. And I'd wait and see what happens with the quarterbacks. This game actually could be a lot of fun. I think it could surprise a lot of us. Next up, not a divisional game. Woohoo! Ravens at Jets. Ah, crap. This one's, whatever. This has a 44.5 total, and the Ravens are a 6.5 road favorite. Okay, J.K. Dobbins, we already know, is not going to be 100%. He's either going to sit out or he's not going to have a full workload. Okay, we're already starting off 2022 like the Ravens had their entire 2021 season. They're going to start Mike Davis and potentially Kenyon Drake. Now, Mike Davis is the guy this week, but I believe Drake will have that RB2 spot in this backfield behind Dobbins sooner than later. If you want Drake, get him before he solidified that and relegated Mike Davis to the bench. Drake has better pass catching and is a better athlete and is younger than Mike Davis. Also in this game, Rashad Bateman is far too undervalued. He is the top wide receiver option in this game. Yes, they have Mark Andrews at tight end, but who is after Rashad Bateman? That's right, crickets. You don't know because you got to go look it up. Bateman is undervalued this week. The Ravens come out to get a big lead. Watch them lead on the run game. Okay, a la Kenyon Drake or Mike Davis. Okay. If you're looking for a sleeper, it's really not much of a sleeper because everybody's been on him this offseason. It's tight end Isaiah Likely. He honestly could be that third option behind Andrews and Bateman because their wide receiver room is so bad. Okay. Ravens could play a lot of 2 tight end sets and likely could provide some of that depth for wide receivers or for tight ends and pass catchers. This is going to be a tough spot for the Jets to start, especially that Joe Flacco starting. Woo! I would still consider starting Breece Hall. If you drafted Breece Hall, he's a good RB2 option. But remember, that team has not moved on from Michael Carter, so there is still a committee. This is still going to be split to start the first game of the year. And if you have options, I would not start both either Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson. This is going to be a tough Ravens matchup. If you can sit them, I would consider sitting them. If not, I mean, Moore's probably a wide receiver 3 or a flex. If you have that option, I would put him there. Next here is the Washington Commanders and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game's a 43.5 over point total, and the Commanders are a 3.5 home favorite here. For Washington, Carson Wentz is playing for his career right now. He's on his third team now in the third year. Okay, he's going to have to start to keep this job. McLaurin's a good play. You don't need me to tell you that, though. You already drafted McLaurin to be a good play. Hopefully, he's your wide receiver 2, not 1. But if you went heavy RB, I can see how is your 1. But I think that's a good play. And I mean, duh. Why would you not play him? I really want to focus on this backfield. With the sad injury that rookie Brian Robinson had, this does, I believe, clear the way for Antonio Gibson. I know. We're not drafting Antonio Gibson. Why would you take Antonio Gibson? That's just bad value there. If you drafted Antonio Gibson, he does have the size and speed to be able to turn this into his own backfield. He has pass catching upside. He has the ability to grab this backfield. If Washington wants to trust him, yes, he has to get his fumbling under control. Antonio Gibson could be a dark horse RB1 for the whole fantasy season if he grabs a hold of it. Especially this week, though, I think he has RB1 upside against the Jags defense. Now, switching over to the Jags, their receivers are undervalued. Christian Kirk and wide receiver sleeper Zay Jones, not Marvin Jones, have upside. But I really like Travis Etienne here. I'm not worried about James Robinson this week. If you were worried about James Robinson, go see what Cam Akers did after his Achilles tear. And not all Achilles tears are going to be the same. But Cam Akers was on track. That game didn't go so well. I don't think James Robinson is a threat to Travis Etienne's workload. So if you have Etienne, start. And if you can sit James Robinson, do that. Next up, we have the Giants and Titans. This game has a 43.5 over game point total, and the Titans are actually a 5.5 home favorite. So this game actually is probably my upset alert game for the week. I am not sold on the Titans this year. I'm not sold that they're going to do what they've done in the past. Yes, this team literally runs through Derrick Henry, but he's older. And yes, he's a beast. I am physically not even on the same spectrum as what Derrick Henry is, and I'm not even going to say that I am. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to sustain the workloads that he has been given in the past. The wide receiver core on this Tennessee team, it got worse. You can't tell me it got better. It got worse. They traded away A.J. Brown to Philadelphia. They drafted Treylon Burks. If Burks is ready, and if Burks is not ready, let me rephrase that. If he is not ready and not able to stand out as the number one wide receiver in this offense, they are in trouble. They're going to struggle. Yep, they did trade for Robert Woods, but he's also coming off an ACL. That's going to take a little time. Now, I do have a sleeper out of this Tennessee wide receiver room. And yes, Tennessee still might struggle, but this wide receiver is Kyle Phillips. He might be able to outproduce Burks. He looked like he was in the preseason outproducing Burks. He did have a very good preseason, and he's known for his route running ability. Look out for Kyle Phillips this year. Have him be on your radar. For the Giants, these last 2 seasons were awful. If you were a Giants fan, I apologize on behalf of the Giants, and I'm not a Giants fan, but I still apologize on behalf of them. They finished in 2 straight seasons last in scoring. Last. That's hard to do if you're trying, and they weren't even trying. This team has a new coaching staff, a better offensive line, a healthy Saquon Barkley that should be able to return to what he was. Last year's injury, when he got healthy and was going, was a fluke. He rolled his ankle on somebody else's foot. This is not the same type of injury he had before. I like Barkley a lot this game. Watch out for the wide receivers for the New York Giants. If there is a team that you want to be able to pass against, it's Tennessee. Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Stoney, and maybe not dead yet, Kenny Golladay. They might go off. They might have a good game. Look out for the New York Giants to upset the Titans this week. Next up on the game totals is the Saints and Falcons. Now, this game has a 42.5 point total, and the Saints are a 5.5 point favorite, has it on the road. This is the spot to play the Saints. You drafted them, you need to play them. I like Winston this week. He's a good streamer. He's also a good QB too if you're playing in a Superflex. I like him a little bit better than what his ranking is. Now, I say that. I am not fully in on Michael Thomas. I'm not sure if his hamstrings, if his ankle, if all of his injuries are actually going to be able to be fully recovered. And he's the wide receiver he was 2 years ago that we were all winning championships holding Michael Thomas. I actually think over the course of this year, bold, hot take, Chris Olave will outscore Michael Thomas this year. Bold prediction, market, got receipts. I don't like the ranking of Kyle Pitts for Atlanta this year or this week. I get it. Drake London is out potentially, or at least limited with a knee injury. And I get it. There's not a lot of options within Atlanta that's going to be a pass catching game. They're probably going to be coming back. And there's potentially going to be a lot of balls to catch. But if you're the only one, I don't think Pitts finishes as a top 5 option for tight end. So, next up, we have the Broncos and Seahawks. Yes, a Russell Wilson revenge game. Woohoo! So exciting. This game could get ugly quick. It has a 42.5 game total, and Denver is a 5.5 road favorite. While Denver is the favorite here, I think the best play in this game is Melvin Gordon. Denver gets out to an early lead. Yes, Russell Wilson will have value because he's the one that led them to the lead. And yes, the wide receivers potentially could have value. We'll find out who's what. But if they got to an early lead, pretty sure it's going to be the running backs and Melvin Gordon specifically that have a lot of opportunity. For Seattle, I have mentioned in previous episodes on this podcast that I think Geno Smith could be a sneaky QB2 if you play in a Superflex or 2 QB league. If you're desperate, Geno Smith has upside. Denver gets out to a big lead. The Seahawks are forced to throw the ball more, which means Geno Smith has upside. It's not pretty, but you don't need to be pretty to win. Not in fantasy anyway. Seattle has a good wide receiver core. If they're as good as we think they are, then they will help elevate the QB to what we need for fantasy. If not, both the wide receivers and Geno Smith are in trouble. This whole team's in trouble. Next is 49ers at the Bears. And the 49ers are a 6.5 road favorite. This game is less than what the 42.5. I believe this one's either 42.5 or 41.5 total. And the Bears might just be the worst team in the league this year. This game has 49ers blowout written all over it. We're going to see how Trey Lance does. We're going to see, is he worth it? Was he worth the hype? Is he worth the risk? Some leagues, I'm starting him because I took that risk. I took the plunge. But I think similar to what San Francisco fashion is, this team's going to run a lot. If you have Jeff Wilson on your waiver wire, go get him. He is the number 2 RB in this backfield. He has proven value in previous years of having value, both as an RB2 for this, or if the starting running back goes down. Now, with George Kittle out, that helps Brandon Ayuk. I believe Brandon Ayuk matches the skill set of Trey Lance with his deep balls to be unlocked. For Chicago, I am pretty much down on everybody for Chicago. Almost. I do like the tight end Kmet. I like Cole Kmet. If you drafted him, you know why you drafted him. He has touchdown regression upside, where he is the only one to not catch any touchdowns with however many yards he had last year. Chicago's probably playing from behind. Kmet could be that guy. He sees the touchdown, you're happy with it, especially where you drafted him. And for the last game of this week on this slate, the lowest total for this week, Panthers and Browns. Oh, look, it's Baker Mayfield Revenge Week. This game has a 41.5 total, and the Panthers are only a 2.5 point favorite at home. Christian McCaffrey did pop up on the injury report, but he did get off because of a shin injury. You're still playing him. You drafted him. You know the risk. You know the upside. Enough said. Really, in this game, you're also playing DJ Moore. You're playing the guys you drafted. You're playing Nick Chubb. You're playing Hunt. Here's my sleeper. Go play Njoku. You drafted Njoku late in drafts. He is the sleeper you want for this game. He's the guy. Carolina's going to have a good defense. Jacoby Brissett is not Deshaun Watson. I think this game could be kind of ugly, but you want the guy that has the best upside. That's going to be behind what Amari Cooper has for the wide receiver. And Njoku's going to be that guy. Go get him if he's out there, if you need a tight end help. Okay. I do appreciate you sticking with me through this onslaught of what week 1 is. How exciting we are at week 1. Let's get excited for it. If you're building a DFS lineup, I do want to give some ways I like to think about this. I look at high game totals for this week. Use that to start how you're building it. One way that you could build a lineup, and this is going off DraftKings scoring, is if you did Jalen Hurts, he's at $6,800. Start him at quarterback. The Lions and Eagles were the third highest over-under game for the week behind Chargers, Raiders, and Cardinals, Chiefs. Run that back with Swift, also at 6,800, because you want Eagles with Lions. You stack Hurts with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's only 6,400. Don't spend up on Devontae Adams. Don't spend up on those guys. Go get A.J. Brown. He's reasonable this week. And again, my big value this week is Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is only $5,200, and he has RB1 upside. He is the lead back for Miami. Go plug him in. Use him. Next, as your wide receiver 2, I would play Marquise Brown. Who else is there in Arizona? Rondale Moore's hurt. Zach Ertz is hurt. Is it going to be Andy Isabella that takes catches away? No. AJ Green? AJ Green was kind of a course of himself. He's old. Marquise Brown is now paired up with his college quarterback with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of the best deep ball passers in the league. Marquise Brown is one of the fastest guy that can go get it. This has potential shootout. You want Marquise Brown to play this week. Again, another value guy here is Rashad Bateman. He is undervalued at $5,300. He is the lead wide receiver for the Ravens, and it's not even close. You play Travis Kelce this week. Why? He's not the most expensive tight end. He is only $6,600. You take advantage of that high over-under. You play Travis Kelce. You know that steady Travis Kelce with the wide receiver room that is, hey, whatever. That's you play him. Next, you're kind of taking a little bit of punt here, and you're playing Jacoby Myers. This is on the chance that Miami gets out to the lead, and Belichick can't go with his run-heavy offense, and Myers has to, go grab, 6-8 balls and gets, about 70 yards or something. It's kind of a punt play, but $4,300, he's kind of that good play. And last for defense, go play the Giants. I think the Giants are underrated this week against Tennessee. I think they have value there, and it's $2,300. You still have at least $100 or $2 left to play with if you really don't like somebody here. That's a potential lineup here for this week. So that's week 1 at a snapshot. You made it. Good for you. You made it. And as we have fun watching, I hope your fantasy team does well and you start the team 1-0. But remember, only half the teams are going to start 1-0. So, despite how you finish, we'll be looking at taking data from this week and making a strategy that we get better as the season goes on. That here is our commitment to you, our listeners. We are going to find ways how to be better, how to win on the margins. And remember, there's life without fantasy and without the internet. I'll send you the link.